Okay, so we're diving deep today
Diving deep.
into the Africa Cup of Nations in
Oh.
2025.
Right.
And we got a listener question that we're going to try to take on today.
Okay.
And they basically want to know, how many countries are going to be in it?
Right.
Who are the teams to watch? How are they
Yeah.
preparing?
Yeah.
All that good stuff. But
Big questions.
yeah, it's early.
It is really early. Yeah.
We're way out.
Yeah.
Way out from the tournament. So
we're going to have to work with what we got.
exactly. Yeah, the CAF, the Confederation of African Football, they haven't really announced anything concrete yet.
Yeah.
As far as the final number of teams or, the qualifying process.
Right.
All that's still to be determined.
Right. Yeah, so we don't know exactly, how that's all going to shake out.
Yeah.
But I guess, like, a good place to start would be to kind of look at past performance,
Sure.
see who the
Actual contenders are?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you always got to look at the historical heavy hitters. You got your Senegal, they just won it last time.
Right.
Algeria won in 2019.
Uh-huh.
And then you've got kind of the mainstays like Cameroon. They've got 5 titles.
Right.
Egypt's got a record 7.
Wow.
Nigeria's won it 3 times. So,
Oh.
I mean, those are always teams that are in the conversation.
Yeah, those are kind of the usual suspects, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But, like, beyond just the names,
Yeah.
I mean, are there any trends that stand out to you when you look back at recent tournaments? Are there any particular teams that have really kind of fallen off or any that have really surprised us?
Well, I think one thing that really makes the AFCON so exciting is its unpredictability.
Okay.
You never really know who's going to come out on top.
Right.
I mean, just look at 2012 when Zambia pulled off that incredible upset.
Oh, yeah, that was the...
Nobody had them pegged as favorites,
Yeah.
and they ended up beating Ivory Coast in the final.
Wow.
Which was a team packed with stars.
Right.
So that just goes to show you that anything can happen.
So that's kind of like a wild card situation.
Exactly, and that's what makes it so fun to watch.
Right.
You can't just assume that the big names are going to waltz in and dominate.
Right, because they got their own, internal struggles and things.
Exactly. Teams evolve, players age out.
Right.
New talent emerges. It's a constantly shifting landscape.
So are there any teams that you would say are kind of like, yeah, they're on the downswing?
It's tough to say, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think Egypt's dominance is something to keep an eye on.
Okay.
I mean, 7 titles, it's incredible.
That's a dynasty?
Yeah, but their golden generation, those players are getting older.
Right.
And it remains to be seen if the younger players can step up and fill those shoes.
Interesting.
So that might open the door for some other teams to make a move.
Right. So, like, who are some of the teams that you think could potentially capitalize on that?
Well, Senegal's looking strong.
Okay.
I mean, they're current champs.
Yeah.
They got a really talented squad. And then Algeria, they've been playing at a really high level.
Okay.
And, of course, you can never count out teams like Nigeria and Ghana and Morocco.
Yeah.
They're always going to be contenders.
Always, right. Always in the mix.
Absolutely.
Now, what about any kind of dark horse teams?
Ooh, dark horses.
Yeah, like teams that maybe haven't traditionally been, powerhouses, but they're showing signs of, real potential.
Yeah. I mean, there are always a few teams that fly under the radar,
Okay.
and then they end up making a splash.
All right, so who are we watching for this time around?
Well, one team that I think has a lot of potential is Mali.
Okay.
They've got a young and exciting squad,
Uh-huh.
and they've been steadily improving, so I wouldn't be surprised if they made a deep run.
Interesting.
And then you got Comoros.
Comoros, okay.
They made their first ever AFCON appearance in 2021,
Wow.
and they actually made it to the knockout stage.
Really?
So they're definitely a team to watch.
All right, so we're looking at Mali, we're looking at Comoros.
Keep an eye on them.
All right, I'll put those on my list.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about something that I think is a really big factor in AFCON, and that's the fact that so many of the top African players actually play for European clubs.
Right.
So how does that affect the preparation of the national teams?
Well, it's a huge challenge.
Wow.
You've got these players who are spread out all over Europe,
right.
and they're playing in different leagues with different styles.
Yeah.
And then they have to come together just a few weeks before the tournament
Right.
and try to gel as a team.
Yeah, try to like piece it all together.
Exactly. And that's not a lot of time to build chemistry and integrate tactical systems.
Right, it's like a crash course.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess that's where those teams that have a strong core of locally based players
Yeah.
might have a bit of an advantage.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they've been playing together all year.
Right.
They're familiar with each other's strengths and weaknesses.
So it's almost like they've got a head start.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
And they're also more accustomed to the playing conditions in Africa.
Right. That makes sense.
Which can be a factor, the heat, the humidity, the pitches.
Yeah. So, it's not just about who you've got on your roster, but also how well they know each other.
Exactly. Teamwork and cohesion are crucial.
Now, let's talk about tactics.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the prevailing tactical trends that we're seeing in African football these days?
Well, traditionally, African football has been known for its flair and its attacking style.
Uh-huh.
Lots of speed, lots of individual brilliance.
Right.
But in recent years, we've seen a shift towards more tactical discipline and organization.
Okay.
And I think that's partly due to the influence of European coaching philosophies.
So it's kind of like a blending of styles.
Exactly. You're seeing teams that are still very athletic and very skilled,
Mm-hmm.
but they're also more tactically aware.
Interesting. So what would you say are some of the key things that a team needs to do in order to prepare for AFCON?
Well, the qualifying matches themselves are obviously a big part of the preparation.
Right.
Because they give teams a chance to test themselves against some of the best teams on the continent.
Yeah.
But then you've also got friendly matches against other nations.
Okay.
And then the crucial training camps in the lead up to the tournament.
Okay. So how do those training camps work?
Well, they're pretty intense.
Okay.
I mean, you're talking about weeks of training.
Right.
Focusing on fitness, tactics, and team building.
So it's like really trying to build that unit, that camaraderie.
Exactly. You need to have that unity and that spirit if you're going to go all the way.
Now, does the level of preparation differ depending on the resources that a team has?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Some teams have access to cutting-edge sports science.
Right.
They've got top-notch facilities.
Yep.
They can even bring in specialists.
So like money talks.
To a certain extent, yeah.
Okay.
But, it's not always about having the most resources. It's about making the most of what you have.
Right.
And I think that's something that we see time and time again in AFCON.
It's like the heart, right? The heart of the team.
Exactly, those intangible qualities, the team spirit, the tactical flexibility, they can make all the difference.
All right. So to wrap things up for our listeners,
Yeah.
obviously it's early days.
Very early.
We don't know all the details.
Right.
But there's still a lot we can learn and look forward to.
Absolutely.
So keep an eye on African football news.
Yes.
Watch those qualifying matches.
Uh-huh.
Pay attention to how the teams are shaping up.
And, maybe do a little research on some of those dark horses.
Yeah.
You might just find your new favorite team.
Now, here's something to think about. We've talked a lot about how those European clubs affect player availability.
Right.
So could it be that a team built mostly around locally based players actually has a hidden advantage going into AFCON?
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
And I think it's something worth considering. Those locally based players, they're already acclimated to the conditions in Africa.
Right.
They've been playing together all year. They've got that shared understanding.
They're already a unit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe that's the key to success.
Maybe.
It'll be fascinating to see how it all plays out.
Yeah. Well, this has been a great start to our deep dive into the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what happens.
Me too. Thanks for joining me on this, and we'll be back with more insights as we get closer to the tournament.
Sounds good. All right. Looking forward to it.
Talk to you later.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.